Hello, it's Denise, and I am back again for day 24 of the 31 Days of Tarot 2019. And today's question is, which tarot card do I feel is the most misunderstood and why? So I have several that I wanted to pick from. The I thought, the Fool is one of the ones I think of. But I decided on the Hierophant, even though I know several other people have done the Hierophant, just because that is the card like that I look for in a deck when getting a new deck, and yeah, so it's just kind of five is like my number, and so I just the Hierophant's kind of like my card, so I finally decided on that one. And I just wanted to say though that I don't think that I don't know. I mean, I don't know that any tarot card is necessarily misunderstood. I just feel like different decks have different viewpoints of different cards. And so just because, like for instance, in the Robin Wood tarot deck, this is the Hierophant card, which is very like religion oriented, and from that stiff, like very strict religious background. And I got a lot of depth and meaning out of this card. I use this card and the meaning that came that was ascribed to this card for a very long time. Now I prefer to work with a different meaning for the Hierophant now, but I don't think that that makes the first meaning that I used like invalid. And in fact, I think that this is a good card to have in the deck because it means like, so the Robin Wood, she designed this card, and then the meaning of it was supposed to be conformity, and it could be allowing, like for example, you're allowing somebody else to control you, being controlled by somebody, or the desire to control other people. And I think that that's a good meaning to have in a deck because that situation can come up a lot for people, and to have a card that means that I think is a good thing. But for me, as I have grown and changed and evolved in my own tarot practice, even though I love the Robin Wood Tarot and I still use this deck. And if I see this card, that is the meaning that I give to this card. So that is the meaning for the Hierophant that I mostly use when I'm using this particular deck. But for example, I wanted to pull out the Hierophant from the Starman Tarot. So I've, read a little bit in the guidebook about this card, and basically, see, the title of the card in the book is I Am the Teacher of Universal Law. So instead of representing like conformity and all of that in the strictest sense, it can possibly represent like taking things too far to like fanaticism or extremism, but it also can be representative of passing along like sacred knowledge. So I thought that that was an interesting take, and they had him part wolf and part man, because wolves are actually, it said in the book, wolves, are very misunderstood creatures, which I totally agree with. Like I am very pro wolf. I I adopt a wolf, every year. Like so, this card because of that. When I read that, like I like this Hierophant card even more than I did originally. But there's even more, I think, layers to the Hierophant card, and so one of my favorite meanings, I guess, now in my tarot practice is this is from the Psychic Tarot of the Heart, which is basically an oracle deck, but it still has all the majors. So the keyword for this one was teach in this deck. And it's more along the lines of teaching like a system, like a structured system. So whereas like the High Priestess card would be, intuition and, the mystery that is like behind all of the like the religion, like all the religions, have like the outer structure. Like so the card, the Hierophant's more along the lines of teaching that like outer structure, but also teaching that it is symbolic of like a universal knowledge to me. So that's where I've come to see the Hierophant. Although I think it's important to have that balance of like in the deck of like the High Priestess is very like finding your own, inner path, and like this is just to me. I know everybody has their own ways, but to me the High Priestess is very like finding your own inner path and your own connection to divinity, and kind of finding the core, discovering like the core like mysteries that are central to all major belief systems, but then also having like the Hierophant card. Oh, here's another gorgeous Hierophant card from Shadowscapes. I like the tree because the roots of the tree run deep. The roots of the tree run deep. It has a very solid structure. The it's all connected to like one thing. So like for me, I imagine like different trees, connected to the earth, like, but their structure is very solid, each being an individual tree. So each outward structure is different, but it's all connected to the same source. And that's kind of how I see the Hierophant now. It's like symbolic of the mystery teachings, like the different structures and belief systems that you can teach or be taught or learn, and pass along, but that all conveys the same inner sense of the mystical, like the one true, like source of knowledge. If that's just kind of rambly, and I don't know if that makes sense, but there it is. So that's just my thoughts on the Hierophant. But like I said, I don't think that any card is necessarily misunderstood. It's just that there's different, everybody I think can have their own definition of each card. I don't think that there's any wrong definitions. If that works for you, then that works for you. So for me, like, there can only be cards that people have a hard time coming up with the meaning that clicks for them. So anyway, that's just how I have worked with that card and how it has changed for me over time. So have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye.